Hey everybody, Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully everyone's doing well and having a good start to their week. A little explanation as to why I didn't post Monday. I usually am looking for model trends during the week if there's nothing in the immediate term that's happening. So 24 hours is a little sketchy given my schedule trying to come up with trends. It can happen, but during the wintertime it's especially difficult. But that being said, we're on Tuesday now. We've seen some changes since Sunday and Monday, but keep in mind that, like I said, I'm looking for trends on model data here. There have been a few consistencies, but there have also been a lot of changes. So that being said, take some of what I'm telling you with a grain of salt, but don't stray away from it. I guess that's the message I'm trying to send here. Also, trying to send that message. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that share button. Especially hit that subscribe button if you're new. Don't touch it if you're not. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into things. We look at the screen to the right here. Things are rather quiet at the moment, which is pretty nice considering the weekend we just had. We do have a few winter storm alerts. We have a winter storm watch over here towards the panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma here, particularly towards the west. And then winter storm warnings over here towards southern Colorado and New Mexico as well. So there's going to be some snow, but nothing of major significance in the short term. So I'm not going to really go too heavy into detail here. But this actually is pretty common here as well. We'll also say that. But outside of that, let's go ahead and get into the model data. Let's just jump right into it. So you know the typical rule here. GFS is on the screen to the right, Euros to the left. We're looking at 300 millibars. We're looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere. And one thing to make note of, as I did not mean to click this sounding, which has absolutely nothing on it, is that here is our upcoming storm system, and this is what's likely to bring that snowfall over here towards the desert southwest. But as this continues to go forward here, I want you to pay close attention to this low that begins to develop. We see a little secondary low develop off to the north, and while I don't anticipate this to be a big severe weather maker, this does wreak a bit of havoc, and I'm looking at the wrong model data here. I do intend this to wreak a little bit of havoc, maybe on its way to Florida. So what happens here is these two storm systems try to interact. Don't quite look like they end up phasing very well. You do see a little bit of energy here on the eastern side of this. There's a little bit of energy on the southeast or southwestern side of this as well. But look what happens as we go over towards Florida. Low does try to get its act together over here. And I'm still like kind of up on the fence here as to what happens with this. This has kind of been changing run by run here. There's times where we'll see this go right over Florida. We'll see this just never form. You'll see this a third low even form. So that's really a big part of why I didn't make the video Monday, because I was just seeing too many different trends. Even now, it's still kind of tough to tell what's happening with this. And that's even from the Euros perspective. We go from the GFS, it's a different outcome altogether. It's a much bigger low that's set up over here as we get towards the weekend. You do see that too low setup become a thing, and then this low pressure just blast all the way to the south, and then eventually may work its way towards northern Florida before potentially becoming a coastal storm. So, like I said, wintertime definitely has its own little kinks, and one of those is model uncertainty. The models always seem to be a little bit more difficult to decipher during the winter, or there's always a bunch of different model solutions here. Another thing to make note of, and this is heading towards the holiday, I talked about this on Sunday, and it's this system right here, this not just low pressure, but this trough, this upper level trough and ridging that we see here too. This is a little bit more classic to what we would see, especially during the early to mid parts of spring. And I do have my concerns with this, however, due to the simple fact that this could turn into a severe weather setup, especially with this low trying to deepen as we head towards Christmas Day. So it could be a big wintry event here. Of course, we're 300 hours out, so not a lot of merit to put into that. But still, fact in the matter is, I've been seeing a trend like this for a little bit now. And like I said, when we go longer into a forecast range here, especially 200 plus hours out, you're not necessarily looking to make a forecast. You're looking to make a trend. This is what and this is the trend I've kind of been seeing here for a little bit now. And keep in mind that this is prone to changing run by run, which is about every 6 hours for these models. So probably by midnight and then early in the morning, we could see something entirely different. But that being said, we'll go ahead and take a look at the different levels of the atmosphere. We're going to go ahead and look at 500 millibars. This is a little bit more towards the middle levels of the atmosphere. A little bit easier to decipher things here, but pretty much a similar story across the board. You can still see that low beginning to tighten up here from this model with the euro. And then, of course, that secondary low comes in. That low kind of shrivels out. Like I said, the big problem with this setup is not going to be much in the way of cold air. Like I said, there might be chances of severe weather, but I think instability might be a big problem with this as of right now, as far as trying to get that to develop in order to create a severe situation. I just don't see that happening at the moment. Of course, like I said, changes run by run here, so, and changes on each model, so just got to keep an eye out. You do see a piece of energy still try to develop over here towards Florida. Does it get organized enough? And does this create a coastal storm situation with the euro? It doesn't quite look like it. GFS is definitely favoring that a lot more than the euro at the moment. And then here's the thing that I'm noticing with the euro, and this is slightly concerning, is that within that similar time frame as the GFS, that's when we see this this trough beginning to come in here. Now, exactly how this is going to play out is still questionable, but fact in the matter is, the fact that I'm seeing this on both models this far out, that is a somewhat reassuring and could be somewhat concerning sign, simply due to the fact that we're getting some form of model agreement over 10 days out. With that being said here, let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS. Of course, we're looking at 18Z GFS versus 12Z Euro. So there's a little bit of a difference, but I'm just working with what I have here. But here's that trough again. This is Thursday night heading into Friday. And then here's those two lows coming together. And notice the track has changed with this in comparison to the euro here. It's even more pronounced at 500 millibars here. It's about close to 30,000 feet. This low to the north becomes a dominant low, but then also starts to ride this wave all the way down to the south here. And my concern then becomes, if this actually gets some cold air interacting with it, which it looks like it tries to, maybe on the rear end of this, if there's any moisture left over, could see some snow flurries in some places that definitely are not used to seeing it. Definitely need to be keeping an eye out on that, but once that gets going, we start to lose that cold air, and this is why I'm still kind of on the fence of there being a coastal storm even with the GFS outcome, but it's a much better chance than what we were seeing with the euro currently. As we continue to go on here comes that trough, and it's actually almost just like a series of troughs. You even see what looks to be a possible trough ejection, but look what happens here. Really big, like huge low pressure develops over the heart of the country Christmas Eve here, and this could be a big Midwestern snowstorm if this plays out. Of course, like I said, 294 to 300 hours out, a lot of time, a lot of room for things to change, but this is going to have some serious cold air with it. It could be a big time holiday storm regardless. And then also with this, I see this feature whenever I see severe weather events. We call it the ski jump. It's a pretty common term amongst weather enthusiasts and meteorologists alike. We get any sort of instability going here, good source of lift. Could see some more severe weather, potentially in the Ohio Valley once again, which is definitely not something we're wanting to see given what's happened recently. But timing is still questionable. Like I said, 300 plus hours out, it's kind of difficult to really put any merit into that right now. This also could be a big time snow event for the Great Lakes. Could, while it doesn't necessarily seem like it would be favorable for the lake effect machine to wake up here, it could still be significant snow totals over towards Michigan and over towards maybe even Lake Ontario and Lake Erie if this scenario plays out. As time goes on, we see this cold air move out. We start to warm back up over to the east, and then here comes another really high amplitude trough coming into play here. And this could be a big setup here for maybe even some southern snow. But of course, like I said, time frame is everything, and we're at the end of the model run here. So a lot of different things going on here, a lot of moving around with the models currently, and more to be expected. So keep your eyes open. Another thing to make note of here, of course, is going to be the height anomaly here. We're going to be taking a look at our air masses. Euro is showing a stronger air mass in general during this time, during today in comparison to GFS. But here is that setup again, and this is why, like I said, these air masses are exactly why I'm not too concerned about the severe weather threat or not the severe weather threat, but the winter weather threat. Severe weather still is possible, like I said, but I think that parameters are going to help, that certain factors are going to help prevent it, possibly. If anything, I would be checking towards Florida to see if anything goes off. It'll probably be there. But here we go, shifting pattern here. We're starting to maybe shift towards a negative PNA based off of this look here. But of course, just as quickly as we shift into that negative PNA or positive PNA or negative PNA, excuse me, can't get my words out. Negative PNA where we have a little bit of cold air setting up out west. This trough is going to kick in, is going to roll in and kick all this out. And you're pretty much going to end up seeing that on the GFS. So pretty similar deal, a little bit stronger cold air masses here. And this ends up becoming really interesting, of course, like I said before, because a lot more cold air really funnels in around the southeast. Normally during the winter at times, we'll see the southeast ridge come into play and keep things warmer. If this plays out, that's not really going to be the case here. So could be a sucker punch ahead here if this scenario plays out for a lot of us towards the eastern part of the U.S. As time goes on, we're looking at our next system coming in, really deep digging trough. Another system comes in, you see trough ejection happen, or maybe even some phasing actually from what it looks like here. And if this happens, we have a big time snowstorm. And then we watch this another giant couple of bowling balls, pause, come into play here. And maybe we could see another big system or two before the year ends. So, like I said, a lot to keep an eye on here. Not going to really get too far into the whole moisture return and the temperature thing right now, because really we're looking much further out in advance. So we're not going to really put a lot of merit into it. We are going to take a look, however, at our lightning flash density, and then we're also going to take a look at the final precip type at the moment. So what we're going to do now is go back to Euro, and now we're back to Euro. And what you'll see is thunderstorm activity over the next few days is going to be rather limited. But as we go towards Saturday into Sunday, there we are in Florida. This is, like I said, I think if there's going to be any chance of severe weather, it's going to be here in Florida. And just up the southeast Atlantic coast, still pretty consistent. That's still been a pretty good constant across the board here on the Euro. But the intensity is going to be the question, given what happens with the track of that low and who else ends up getting rain as a result of it. Then if we go over to the precip type for the Euro, and then we'll go to GFS after that, you kind of see everything kind of being reflected in a mode that a lot more people are used to. Looks a lot like Doppler radar, right? Here's that low pressure, and here's that rain shield. I think on the leading edge of that, towards the right front quadrant, almost like a tropical system, even though this obviously isn't. Could be a chance for maybe a couple of severe storms, some strong wind gusts, water spouts, etc. Then we'll watch that move off, and then after that, we're gonna watch our next big storm begin to meander off the west coast here. We go to GFS now. We're gonna see a pretty similar start here until we get to about 111 hours, 110 hours. That rain shield's a little bit bigger, spreads a little further to the north here, and then here's where things kind of get a little bit wacky here. The cold air seems like it tries to retreat north, but look what happens here. We end up seeing a little bit of mountain snow here. That cold air tries to root, but then the low moves off to the south, which is not something you normally see during the winter, but okay. This is what I'm talking about. The model madness during wintertime can be crazy. And while all of that's happening, in the meantime, that western storm's kicked in, and here is that huge snow shield. And this ends up probably being a big time northern plains snowstorm, northern tier of the Midwest. Then eventually we start to run out of moisture. The storm moves north of the border. It kind of stiffs a few others along the way. I do question the potential for maybe a few severe storms towards the western part of the Ohio Valley, but like I said, given how far out we are, really can't put a lot of merit into it. And then here comes our next big storm systems after that. This could also be a severe weather maker right here, but I think based off what I'm seeing here, it looks like it might be on the cold core side of things, and it could make things a little bit more complicated, a little bit more tricky to forecast here. Of course, like I said, looking for trends more so than anything at this point. All while in the meanwhile, big time mountain snow out west from this next slew of systems here, and then we'll see that storm system eventually come into play just before the new year, and we're still kind of unclear as to what that will do. But that's all I got for you guys here in this video. It's a little bit chaotic, a little bit different order, because you know it's kind of tricky trying to go off of just trends sometimes and still be informative. It's not trying to make the same video twice either, if you know what I'm saying. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you appreciate the effort, and hope you appreciate the videos. Make sure you hit that like button. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on what could be ahead, especially since and especially if you're traveling for the holidays, because this is going to be this could be a deal breaker for some of you as far as going out. I actually know people like that. But that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you soon. It's been Metalhead Weatherman. Till next time, take care.